Dahil ginagaya lang naman natin ng daigdig eh. Pagsulat, ginagaya natin as much as possible. Hanggang maaari, ginagaya natin ang daigdig para maging mas malapit sa atin yung daigdig na yon. At para makita natin yung hinahanap natin bagay-bagay.
Upang magtanghal at magbasa ng mga sipi mula sa tula na pinamagatang Chinese Impressions ni Cirilo F. Bautista, pambansang alagad ng sining para sa panitikan, narito ang isang makata, performing artist, alumna ng Thomasian Writers Guild, guro sa University of Santo Tomas, at estudyante ng PhD Creative Writing sa UP Diliman, si Nerissa del Carmen Guevara.
Six of 8 Chinese impressions. That Chinese laundry woman with a crooked nose, I wonder if you knew her, is dead. One night, tired of seeing her dreams washed away by detergent soap and dirty water, she laid her withered head down and was gone. A single bird on the balete tree shook his black hair and laughed at the moon. It is not the Chinese face that is inscrutable. Keelang water is inscrutable. The boats rocking it are inscrutable. It is the mind standing outside like rain that cannot hold the meaning it creates, so that the mind merely gazes at the pool of meanings, 1 foot in the water, yet not of water, unsure in the flowing silence. At Ye Lihu Park, the water is blue as the wind touches it. The mountains watch the gulls combing the air for bones or weeds. 100 people climb up the 100-stepped ledge to view the sea. Young boys hunt for coins under the bridge. I take photographs of my wife on the rocks. But the wind and water always get in the way of my eyes. I sit and think of Lipo instead. Wang Wei, you old bastard, Why did you write poems like that? Is there no meaning in the marriage of words? Is it not the fish a symbol? I read your lines and I grow weak. Your aesthetics hit me right in the brain. I, a young poet, thinking I know what I talk about. Let the moon shine. I don't care for light and love, I have wine. Let the fish laugh at my reed and youngsters talk of fight, brandishing swords of weed. I don't care for love or light. Let them burn my verses, though I labored over every line. Let the moon shine on my white beard and bald head. I don't care, I have wine. Let them say, he's out of his mind. If I choose to sit here and watch the fields fall in time, I don't care, I have wine. Let all the lovers trip in their game, and all the warriors boast of shields. I don't care, let the moon shine. I am brother to the fields. The birds sing my rhyme. I am exact in my hut. I am one, I don't pine. I don't care. Let the moon shine. I have wine. Cheers, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Nerissa Del Carmen Guevara. Upang magbigay pugay kay Cirilo F. Bautista, pambansang alagad ng sining para sa panitikan, narito ang feministang makata, kritiko at Professor Emeritus sa De La Salle University, si Dr. Marjorie Evasco.
Our beloved national artists who are being honored today, colleagues and friends, good evening. First of all, congratulations, Dr. Neil Garcia and the UP Press on your golden anniversary. And thank you for this opportunity to give tribute to poet Cirilo F. Bautista. In an essay called Shaping the Past, delivered at his alma mater, the University of Santo Tomas, national artist for literature Cirilo F. Bautista revealed that it was his father who had given him the words which defined the poet's ground of being and gave him his lifetime errand. I became a writer because I took to heart my father's advice to shape the past. He did not tell me how, but I thought writing was the way to do it. He did not tell me why either, but I felt it was to gain some degree of happiness, some ascendancy over the travails of existence, and a strong desire to make of the past something beyond the past drove me into a fine madness and defined the borders of my artistry. And so every time I am asked why I decided to be a writer, because strangely enough, I did decide to be a writer, I answer, when I first got mad. That moment, of course, was not accompanied by a roar of thunder and blaze of lightning. Like all life-altering decisions, it developed quietly. And gradually, until many years later, I found that I was irrevocably engaged in the fashioning of prose and poetry. I discovered that writing was the most effective way of configuring the elements of reality into an ever-fresh world, and that literature was the only possible, faithful, and unassailable reconstruction of human values in a gaudy and duplicitous environment. One of the marks of the lyric poems of Bautista is the constitution or the making of the image or eidos of personas in Philippine society and history, like Rizal, Bonifacio, the tear-gassed man, and even the one who says he is being used by big shots for target practice. Bautista reconfigures figures from history by giving them an individual speaking voice. In the poem What Rizal Told Me, Bautista presents to us the personae of Rizal and Cirilo, the poet's double. The discursive situation is a conversation through 13 stanzas of 4 lines each between the man that Filipinos hail as the nation's hero and the poet Cirilo. The voice, as we read from the title, is the voice of Cirilo, retelling the reader what Rizal told him. The retelling, however, is in the dramatic mode, and from the first line to the last, it is Rizal's voice that is represented in the poem. I have learned the subtle virtue of regret, how it can ride a mad horse and not fall off. At times, it is necessary to invent illusions that would change the map of your consciousness, if only to feel you could not have done things any better. A man is bound, shot, and carted off to argue with worms. Is he less valid as an agent of peace? Will you break the bones of his philosophy? The voice is that of a man of intellect, engaging the poet in the rhetoric that burdens an otherwise peaceful man with the irretrievability of the past and places the law between violence and violence, where there are angels and vampires whose diction vexed my blood. Language used by the colonizers turned worship into a terrorizing religion. On the other hand, language used by the revolutionaries turned idealists into beasts, baring their teeth for the kill. In the middle of the poetic discourse, Rizal faces and addresses Cirilo directly, but in a conspiratorial tone, assuming a friendship that has shared many a secret. You know how it was, Cirilo. You saw the hole I was cramped in and despaired enough to write that I failed because I left no proof of bloodstains on broken stones. There it is again, the phrase that is an insistent refrain in the poems of Bautista, and it is always spoken in the tone of anger and continuing confrontation with failure. Here is one of the sharpest examples of what Bautista calls his choice of a reasoned romanticism over unreasoned skepticism. Rizal reasons to Cirilo that even as the failure is irredeemable, the sweating mass, the road menders and gardeners, the glass blowers and plowmen who are ignorant need some solace, some hope. I am the first thing they seek when they bleed. I wipe the sorrow from their brow, my throat sings their children to sleep. They stick my face where fear had been. I shape the lies that enliven their hopes. That is how we rescue each other from the rigors of obedience. An elegiac statement concludes the poem. History is the other side of regret. At this point, the voices of Rizal and Cirilo merge, and the nature of the pain of regret is made intelligible. Behind the mask of the hero, there is only the naked human face of a dead man. Behind the mask of a poet, there is the vulnerable human heart of the poet, singing an elegy to the race. In the light of his poetics, Bautista must believe in the power of poetry and betray the gaudy and duplicitous world that passes itself off as true. In the poem The Intensity of Things, Bautista memorializes one of his earliest teachers, a medicine woman named Anselma Carpio. We hear in the dialogue between a hard realist wisdom and that of the poets reaching out to us in the long and common history of the dying poor in this country. Believe and betray. Is that not the system we support to survive? Chance and the certainty commingling in the acts we put up and regret. Bautista asserts that Anselma was the only sane person in the world of his youth in the slum areas of Balik-Balik, Sampaloc after World War II. It was a world haunted by death and the proximity of bitterness and despair. But like Selma, he never despaired of his situation, but believed that there was a way of squeezing from the world some astonishment by becoming a poet. The betrayed poor can only turn faithless for the treason that is committed against them. But in the same breath, the lyric voice enjoins them to understand the price of choosing to live. But we say to ourselves, we will be strong, life is long, though we quake in the saying of it, in the terrible burden of it. This is the heart of Cirilo F. Bautista's Historia, his lyric sense of history, his intimate knowing of the story of our people. In the poem called The New Philippine National Anthem, the speaker concludes, "But I will always love you, Filipinas, because in the dead of night, when the enemies creep closer to the gate to break the bones of our hate, when pale men with foreign tongues pillage your mountains and meadows for minerals for money, money, money. When we are broke and hungry and cold, you keep us together with the warmth of your voice, whispering such a word as peace, such a word as freedom." We listen to the cadence of this song and heed it as our own anthem too. The dream that we share with a national artist, poet of the first order, who serves to reinstate words to their position in the social imagination. We, his readers, lovers of words, believers in the language of peace and freedom, have the task to engage under the instruction of the poet in respecting and safeguarding the language of our soul. Only then can we stand side by side with Cirilo Bautista, speaking like him without flinching to power, to ensure that the language of our soul is never going to be corrupted by the greedy and the malicious. Poetry like Bautista's shapes us, our first and only frontier of being. Mabuhay ka, Pambansang Makata, at ang iyong mahal na kabiyak, si Ma'am Rose Bautista.
Thank you, Dr. Marjorie Evasco. Inaanyayahan po namin sina UP Press Director Jose Neil C. Garcia at Dekana ng CAL, Amihan Bonifacio Ramolete upang magbigay ng katibayan ng pasasalamat, pagpupugay DVD at UP Press Kit kay Pambansang Alagad ng Sining para sa Panitikan, Dr. Cirilo F. Bautista.